Hi, I'm Erica. I'm doing a functional verbal behavior video. We're going to be showing examples of MANs, TACs, and interverbal training. The client for this particular video will be Johnny. He is a 4-year-old boy with ASD. He's got approximately 100 words expressively and has a very low frequency of banding, only about 4 an hour. So our first example is going to be a band. Bands are important because the item that the client desires is not the immediate environment. It's not, the reinforcement is going to be the actual object that he asks for, and it's driven purely by his desire for the object. In this case, it's going to be a cookie, because in our preference assessment earlier, we discovered that cookies are Johnny's absolute favorite food in the whole wide world. And we've created an environment where he is quite deprived of them. He has just come home from school, and he is hungry, and he has not had any cookies all day long. So our first example will be a man in the more initial stages, where he will get a little bit of a cue and would ask him what he would like, and then our next example will be more of a pure band. So here's the first example. Johnny, what would you like?
A cookie.
So there's our example of the first band. The only reinforcement he received was the cookie, and that was immediately after he banded for it. So as we've faded it, we've decreased the prompts over and over to the point where now I'm not giving him any prompts at all. He is going to spontaneously band for a chocolate chip cookie. I'm going to be using a game as a distractor. So we're going to play a game. Yeah, let's play our game.
Can I have a cookie?
There we go. There's his cookie. The cookie was not in the environment, and he did not receive any other cues other than his desire for it. That would be an example of a pure man, what we've faded into. Our next example is going to be a tact, which is basically just labeling different items. We're going to be using a ball, much to my dog's dismay. In the initial stages of our procedures, I'm going to give him cues. I'll say, "What's this?" and gradually fade that out until he can label it on his own. So this is our example of a tact. What's this? Ball.
Ball.
What's this?
Ball.
Good job. Distractors.
Ball.
Perfect. Excellent job. So for that one, our reinforcement was a generalized reinforcer. When he said ball, I said good. And then at the end, when he said ball without the verbal cue, I gave him a high five and I said good job. So for TACs, the reinforcers are not the specific item that they're labeling. It's just a generalized reinforcer. In this case, a high five and a good job. The procedure was faded into a pure tact at the end. Did not receive any verbal prompts. He just labeled on his own. Our last example will be interverbal behavior. Interverbal behavior is a response to another person's verbal behavior, whether it's a question or a conversation, whatever the case may be. We're gonna fade it out like we have been. So here's our examples of, and the reinforcement for the interverbal behavior will be social reinforcement, listening, and continuing on with the conversation, getting more social attention. So here's our example of intraverbal behavior and the fading process there. Tomorrow we're gonna go outside and we're gonna swing on the swing set and we're gonna play on the monkey bars and we're gonna run around on the grass. Where do you think we're gonna go tomorrow? The park.
The park.
Good job, and we're gonna have so much fun at the park, and we're going to run and play, and we'll probably spend half an hour there or so. But it'll be so much fun, and you're gonna have a great time on the monkey bars and on the swings. Where are we going?
The park.
Good job. So for intraverbals, at first I gave him the answer, gave him the cue there. I said the park, and he repeated, and then we faded out to him answering the question on his own, and the conversation would continue from there as more of social reinforcement. It's good jobs, and we listen, and we keep the conversation going. So those are my examples of mands, tacts, and intraverbal behaviors, and the fading processes, more or less with some steps skipped for the sake of time and my inability to breathe. So, thank you.